some of my most unhappy times in my life was while I was shooting The Office, which is crazy. Maybe that's a little bit of an exaggeration, but I went through some rough times, some ups and downs, a lot of what I would call like chronic anxious dissatisfaction while on the TV show, because, you know, we're wired as human beings to just want more. And it's kind of like, hey, I'm now a TV star after struggling for, 15 years as an actor. Why can't I be a movie star? And why can't I make more money? And why can't I get this kind of, he got that kind of deal. Why can't I get that kind of deal? And comparison and envy and ambition, it's never enough. And it's so funny now, sitting 10 years after The Office has ended and looking back on it and like, Rainn, it was enough. It was everything you could have ever wanted. It was your dream come true. I mean, to spend 9 years, 200 episodes, playing a really memorable comic character. You've kind of trained and groomed your entire life to play memorable comic characters, and from theater school and from being a nerdy teenager and onwards. And, getting paid well, you can pay off your student loans, even buy a house, travel, meeting new people, getting new work opportunities. Like, this is it. That's it, And so it's interesting being in it and being dissatisfied and being past it and looking back on it and being so grateful for the experience. Because that's all I feel right now is like, we're really tight, the whole Office family. We text all the time, joke around all the time. And, when I hear about how much that show has meant to people, it really moves my heart.
Mm. Yeah, it's interesting how at that time you were struggling so much, and yet while so many other people were struggling, that character, that show was like really solace. It was like a healing balm for so many people. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I know levity and comedy really does just give us some reprise and just like break from our own solipsism often,
Yeah.
And so what do you think about comedy as a healing force? And if you could kind of juxtapose that with your own struggles alongside that time doing the show, and I'm excited to go into the simultaneous spiritual growth personal path for you as well, and then why we need a spiritual revolution collectively.
Sure. Well, it's interesting. I created a company a long time ago called Soul Pancake, and it was an early YouTube company. And we had over 3 million subscribers, and we did a lot of positive, inspiring content. One of the things we did a long-form documentary called Laughing Matters, and it was about the intersection between comedy and mental health. And the reason I'm going into it in that way is I realize now, after a lot of therapy and a lot of soul searching, that comedy for me did come out of a certain measure of pain and trauma. It was a coping mechanism that got me through a difficult childhood, and also was a way for me to connect with the outside world in a way where I always felt alienated and cut off, and like I never fit in. And comedy was my way in. Like, I was never going to be popular. I was never going to be good looking. I was never going to be a jock. I was never going to be, smooth and charming, but I could do weird impersonations, and I could do funny pratfalls, and I could tell jokes, and that allowed me to fit in. And it's funny, the professor and author Arthur Brooks talks about that in terms of comedy, that you can't, two things can't exist in the brain at the same time, which is like, you can't live in comedy and laughter, and you can't live in depression at the same time. Like they're like pistons working like this.
Like gratitude and fear almost.
Yeah, exactly. Or love and fear can't occupy the same brain space at the same time. You can literally try and feel love and fear at the same time. You can't do it. They're an antidote for each other. And Laughter and sadness are the same way. It's like the drama masks, it's the smiling and the crying drama masks, and from ancient Greece. And, out of a really difficult childhood, it was incredibly challenging in its own way. We've all had very challenging childhoods, I'm sure. There are ones far worse than mine. Mine kind of was centered around a loveless marriage and a lot of like suburban ennui. I wasn't like beat, there wasn't like, grotesque things happening to me like happened to a lot of people in the world. So I want to couch it in that. But again, comedy was my way out. Comedy was my way of soul searching. So all of a sudden, I signed up for an acting class. I found I was pretty good at it. I made people laugh. I played characters. I did funny walks. I did funny voices. I told jokes. I did improvisation. I got a lot of accolades for that. These tools that I had learned in this kind of pressure cooker of a really kind of disconnected, loveless child space, all of a sudden came in very handy. And then I went to acting school, and then all of a sudden I was working as a professional actor. But then I got onto some TV shows, and here I was on, one of kind of the all-time great comedies. But again, while I was on the show, very little awareness of the healing properties of comedy. And I think it's something really worth exploring and digging into because, the way the world is right now, it's very interesting. There's not many good comedies on television anymore, and they're hard to find. You have to sift through a lot to kind of find them, and we need them more than ever. And one of the reasons I heard that a lot of like the streaming services and TV networks are not picking up new comedies is because people keep turning back to the old ones. They're watching Seinfeld and Friends and The Office and Parks and Rec and some of those old great comedies, 30 Rock, for their comedy fix. But it's healing because you cannot laugh and cry at the same time. And even if you get your fix of half an hour here or there, like it can take you through a day.